Good morning. In our literature section today, we're going to be talking about the Romantic era in British literature. Let me start by saying that it goes from 1798 to 1832. So, our presentation is divided into different sections. First, I would like to know what you understand by the concept romantic. Then we will see what romanticism really is, what are the main differences between the Age of Reason and the Romantic era, what are the characteristics of the Romantic period. Then I'll ask you to analyse some paintings from a romantic perspective. We will also move on to seeing who the main romantic poets are, these being Wordsworth, Blake, Byron, Shelley and Keats. And last, we will see a section called Your Task, where we'll be asked to analyse some poems and revise the themes, the rhyme, the literary devices seen in previous sessions and which we'll be working on in class. Now, what does it mean to call something romantic? Please look at your thoughts and jot down your ideas in your notebook. We'll be brainstorming them in the next class. Now, what is Romanticism? Well, the words romantic or romance originally referred to medieval tales of knights within the original Roman language, that is Latin. These tales often included love stories between a knight and his lady, which resulted in the modern meaning of romance. However, when talking about the Roman era in literature, we are actually referring to romantic as freely imaginative fiction and not romantic as in romantic love. However, to understand this era better, we need to look back to the Age of Reason. Here we can see the two main blocks. In the Age of Reason, the writers were mainly focused on reason and judgment. They were really concerned with the universal experience. They gave great value to society as a whole, and they valued the rules. However, in the Romantic era, the writers stressed more imagination and emotion. They were concerned with a particular experience. They gave great value to the individual and the human being, as well as valuing society freedom. Now, what are the main characteristics of the Romantic period? We can divide them into 5. First, the common man and childhood over urban sophistication, that is, the Romantics believed in the natural goodness of humans, which is hindered by the urban life of civilization. Second, emotions over reason, where Romantics believe that knowledge is gained through intuition rather than deduction. Third, nature over the artificial. Fourth, the individual over society. And 5, imagination over logic. Now that we've seen the main characteristics of the Romantic period, I'd like to analyse 2 paintings and tell me how these have been applied. In the first one, we can see one by William Turner and the second one by John Constable. Now, as a third point, we will be looking at how the Romantics provided the pattern on which to base their creative lives. That is, the Romantics watched as cities grew, industry prospered, and farming life declined. In an effort to reclaim nature, the Romantics made it a central force in their lives and in their literature. Nature was celebrated as a source of delight, an image of love, and a model of moral perfection. Now, who are the 5 major Romantic poets? Well, I'd like to start with William Wordsworth. He helped to launch the Romantic Age. His most famous work is The Prelude, which chronicles the spiritual life of the poet. He had an interest and sympathy for the life and troubles of the common man, and he's considered a nature poet by focusing ordinary people in country settings. As for William Blake, he was a nonconformist who associated with some of the leading radical thinkers of his day. He rebelled against traditional poetic forms and techniques, and he valued imagination over reason. As for Lord Byron, he indulged in excesses and had huge debts in many love affairs. His most famous creations are his dark heroes, also called the Byronic heroes, who in fact are no heroes at all, but stood out from ordinary humans as larger than life. Percy Shelley, he had a very unconventional life and was very idealistic. He was also a radical nonconformist, and he expanded the repertoire of metre and stanza forms. Finally, John Keats, who during his life his poems did not receive favourable reviews by the critics. His poetry is characterised by sensual imagery, most notably in his odes. In your last section, which is called Your Task, we will be working on the following poems that are presented. We will listen to an original recording of each of this poem and analyse in depth the themes. So I would like you to revise the literary devices as well as the rhythm and the rhyme that we've been seeing in previous classes, and we will brainstorm them all together in class.